This week's episode of One Piece was mostly just a flashback of how Doflamingo took over Dressrosa 10 years ago. And there's some slight progression with Bartolomeo finally telling Luffy, "Hey, Zoro sent me. Let's go find him." But it's not very much. And then there's some other couple side scenes, but again, not important. The majority of this episode is focused on Doflamingo and what a cruel bastard he is. It goes to explaining for the last 800 years, Dressrosa has never involved itself in war. Now this is where I kind of got taken aback. I can't put all the blame on King Riku because he's the next in a long line of these kings who have avoided war. But every time there's not been a single, not even a battle. I mean, they hint that they fight pirates, of course, to defend their cities and countries. But there's only so much you can do to avoid war and achieve peace. I know suspension of disbelief in One Piece and everything, but I don't know. I felt like they were trying too hard to make this country out to be like super peaceful and perfect kind of way. But I don't know. I mean, Nefertari Cobra, of Alabasta, he had a very peaceful country and everyone was happy, and they still had war at some points, right? So I don't know. Just to get rid of war just seems a bit too, almost jumping the shark kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's too far for even me to believe. And yeah, it's taken advantage of by Doflamingo when he gets there with this short spiky hair. It still looks cool. I don't know why he let it grow out. Get that hair back, Doflamingo. But he takes advantage of the knowing that the King Riku family is very peaceful and are kind of like pushovers. And he orders them like, "Hey, don't tell your civilians. Just tell them to gather up 10 billion berry, give it to me, and I won't attack your country." And of course, the king agrees. But we know Doflamingo is not true to his word. He's an asshole. But of course, everyone's willing to give all their money without an explanation because they do believe in the king. They do trust him. But then, of course, Doflamingo takes control, with his string ability, and forces the king to start killing his people and starting fire to the town. And even all the soldiers start getting taken over and start slashing at everybody. And it looks like even mothers and children were murdered. Like, God, that's brutal. And I understand what Doflamingo's going for. He wants everyone to start hating the king and the royal army. So it looks like he comes in, with his pirate group and stops the king and the soldiers and saves everybody. And it was like, "Hey, this warlord just came up and saved us. He's a good guy. Let's let him take over." But I don't know. I mean, even with all the murdering and everything, you can't just immediately jump at conclusions that the king is completely evil. Especially after what? It looks like, I don't know, he's in his 50s, so 50 years, maybe 30 years of him ruling a kingdom peacefully. And out of nowhere, all this happens. So I'm attributing to some of the points that earlier in this arc, we find that the toys are forgotten about, like their fathers and brothers and lovers, stuff like that. So maybe it has something to do with that. Like, he turned a majority of people into toys, and they immediately forgot, those people that led them to being loyal to the king and asking why the king would do something so horrible. Because I can't really believe that they would immediately. I mean, yeah, it was a horrible night, and there was fires and murders, but I mean, me personally, I'd be asking, why would this happen? Why would the king immediately just go all crazy like this? And now maybe it's because it's been so peaceful that it's hard for them to actually ask and wonder why, and they just immediately jump to conclusions. It's sort of like desensitizing them. They've been away from war. They never known war for so long that when something this horrible has happened, they don't know what to believe, and they'll immediately jump to any conclusion to kind of blind themselves to the truth. They're like, Doflamingo comes out of nowhere coincidentally, like this is too convenient. but because he saved their lives, they're willing to believe it to a certain extent. And as time goes on, 10 years go on, they immediately start to believe it down at the very core. They want to believe that the king was evil. They want to believe like this kind of stuff can't happen. They don't want to believe that Doflamingo can come in and can just control people. They're just afraid. I mean, who knows? I mean, it was a tragic event. So the human mind can go any place, especially with such a shock. But really, Doflamingo, he is just one cruel bastard, and I'm guessing it's not over. Because he went through a lot of trouble to take over this country. He even sent in Monet, possibly before she got her wings. Yeah, before she got her wings, into the palace, probably to, I guess, open, do something to find out more about the way it works, like how it's built or how the economy is. Something. There's a reason for why Monet was sent in there ahead of everyone. She's the vanguard. She's the information gatherer. But who knows? But yeah, the toy soldier did mention that he was Rebecca's father, meaning he was possibly related to the king. But where he was in the story, we have no idea. It could have been any one of them. But because it was unclear, maybe he's not Captain Tank. Of course, we met Captain Tank. So how would he know all this is happening? Maybe that's what he believes happens. Or maybe King Riku told him at some point. But then King Riku would have forgotten the toy soldier, who he was. So who knows what's going on right now? There's just this huge mystery about how Doflamingo took over Dressrosa. I mean, the details of how he took over Dressrosa. I mean, we clearly see that he's taking over Dressrosa in this way. And immediately I can already see some comments about, oh, he's better at taking over a country than Crocodile. Because Crocodile didn't take over the country for 8 years, or at least he wasn't even close. But I don't know. I think it's about circumstance. Because Crocodile, while able to control sand, can't control all the sand in the entire island. And not only that, as powerful as he is, he has to gain trust. He has to really work his way into the nation's certain society, And he also has to be able to turn the king against his own people. And he was slowly doing that. He just doesn't have the necessary tools to do it directly, like make the king look incredibly bad directly. Doflamingo did. This country, Dressrosa, has known no war, so he can immediately say, hey, these guys want peace. They'll avoid conflict at all costs, and we can use that to our advantage. Not only that, with my ability of string, I can immediately turn the soldiers in a split second against all the people and start massacring people. So again, it's circumstance. Doflamingo went to the right island with the right ability. Boom. Single night, took over the entire country. If Crocodile had those abilities and went and was in Dressrosa, he would probably have been able to take over the country as well. So it wasn't a matter of who's smarter and who's better at taking over and planning and strategizing. It's just about circumstance. The right island with the right ability, boom, done. So I'm not going to immediately say Doflamingo is the better villain out of the two. Crocodile was more patient. He was sitting back, letting things happen as they go along. Doflamingo was more impatient. He wanted things to get done quickly and as brutally as possible. And that's ultimately how he succeeded so much faster than Crocodile. But really, it's not over. I feel like there's more to the story of taking over Dressrosa. And I can't wait to see more. Doflamingo is one badass villain. He's cruel to his very core. And who knows how far his atrocities go. And so I'm excited for next week's episode. Until then, I'm Tony Dragon. Bye-bye.